Hello again, everyone. This is Gary, Kilo 4 Golf Charlie, here in the shack by the track with another video covering some aspect of amateur radio. I've been active in the hobby to varying degrees, sometimes not at all, since first becoming licensed in 2004. I learned something new about amateur radio in general, and in particular about my radios and the related software I use to operate them nearly every day. The purpose of my videos is to share some of that knowledge. And I'm learning how to edit videos too. Hopefully that skill will improve over time. As always, I'm not necessarily showing you how something should be done. I'm showing you how I did it, why I did it, and what works for me. Or perhaps what did not work for me. So let's get started. In this video, I'll show you how I log and manage QSOs using DXKeeper, which is the logging application within the DXLab suite. I'll cover searching and filtering the log database in another video. There are three ways that I know of, and probably more, to log QSOs in the DXKeeper database. The first is through the capture window, where you either type in the pertinent QSO information or have it pre-populated by double-clicking a spot in Spot Collector. The second is to do a batch import of an ADIF file from another application such as NetLogger, which is the logger I use and the logger that most people use for the OMIS sideband nets. I'll do an import a bit later in this video. These first two are probably typical of any logging application such as N1MM, Logger32, NetLogger, whatever. They have some window through which you enter the QSO information and then save it to the log, and most of them probably have a means to import or export ADIF files. The third way is to import QSOs in real time from another logging application. In my case, through a gateway between FLDigi and DXLab. And I'll show you the little gateway icon down here. More or less, this treats the other application as if it were DXKeeper's capture window. As you look up and log QSOs in the other application, they are automatically looked up in and or written to the DXKeeper database. This third method is a bit beyond the scope of this video. First, let's look at the capture window. Let me pull it up here. I'll enter in a few different call signs and log at least one of them so you can see how it works. As I do that, notice the filter box down here in the lower left corner of the log window. I'll start with N8FTJ. I've worked him a few times, and he's right there in the top of the log, on the top of the log display. So I'll enter his call N8FTJ, and I can either hit the lookup button down here or just tab over in the call sign field, and it will automatically pre-populate the fields in the capture window with any information derived from previous QSOs, or it will look at QRZ.com since I have a subscription. So all the fields are pre-populated. Any previous QSOs are shown in the log database because the call sign, when it's looked up in the capture window, it's automatically filtered in the log display, so you can see any previous contacts that you've had with that station, if any. The capture window shows you the last QSO that you have had with that station. Since Commander is running, the current frequency, the VFO frequency and mode of the radio is displayed in the capture window. Let me pull up Commander so you can see that. Right now I'm tuned to 7129, and if I click, let me get the Commander window back up. If I have to tweak the frequency a little bit on the radio, you can see that not only does it change in the Commander window here, it's also updated in the capture window, and it will be logged. When you log the contact, it will be logged with whatever the current frequency is that you're tuned to. I am not going to log this particular call, so I will clear that one. They'll do the same thing here with another call. Let's try S57 Delta X-ray. I've worked him a few times. Tab over to do the lookup. Again, it pulls up all the pertinent information, either from previous QSOs or from QRZ in my case. Displays any previous QSO comments, if any, in the pop-up text window. The database, the log window is filtered with that particular call sign, and it shows the two previous QSOs that I've had with him. And I'm not going to log this one either, so we'll clear that. Now I'll log a test. I'll log a test QSO with my club's call sign, W4AMC. I've never worked this call sign before because when it's on the air, I'm usually there with it. So again, tab over. It'll do the lookup. It'll filter the log, showing any previous QSOs. Of course, in this case, there aren't any. Frequency is pre-filled. Mode is pre-filled. If I need to tune around, tweak frequencies a little bit, the capture window follows along with whatever Commander's doing based on the radio. And this contact is ready to log. Let's say I sent them a 59, they sent me 44, and I'll log this as log a comment here, test QSO, delete, and it is ready to log. And it is now logged. You'll see it's the last entry in the log window. W4AMC right down here. Next, I'll show you how spot collector interfaces with the logger. Let me pull up the spot collector window here, and I will just pick a random spot here. I will right click on this one and do a lookup. It does not pre-populate the capture window. Let me clear that window and do that again. I will right click on that spot. It does not pre-populate the capture window. It does, however, filter the log for that particular call to display any previous QSOs, if there were any. We'll do another one so you can see that. Look up W4ICU. No previous contacts with that station, nothing pre-populated in the capture window. If I wanted to log a contact with that station, I would have to enter the information manually, or double click on the spot, which I'll show you here. Let's just do that. I'll just double click Actually, that's a 2-meter spot. I can't do that because the radio won't QSY to that. We'll try one that I haven't worked. Double click that spot. It pre-populates the capture window, changes the radio to the proper frequency and mode, adds the call sign to the log filter display, and would show me any previous QSOs that I had with that station. Enter in the correct signal report, make sure the name is right, add any comments that you want, and then log the call. I am not going to log this one. I will do another one. Let's find one that I've worked before. WL7 X-ray. I think I've worked Alaska a couple times. We'll do that. I have worked him 3 times, it looks like. WL7X is in the log filter. It shows the previous QSOs that I've had with that station. Apparently one of them's not, I don't know why that one's red. All the pertinent info is in the capture window, and it's basically ready for me to log another QSO with him if I chose to do so. Now I'll import some QSOs into DXKeeper. I had exported an ADIF file of some recent contacts I made on the OMIS nets from NetLogger, which I'll now import into DXKeeper. So move some windows out of the way here. Go to the Import QSOs tab, and I will leave everything as I currently have it configured here because it's basically ready to go. Click the Start button. Tell it which file you want to import, in my case, OMIS. Click Open. And I'll move this window over here so you can see it, importing the QSOs. And it should be done. Close that window out of the way. Minimize that. Go back to the Log QSOs window. We'll scroll down to the bottom, and you'll see the QSOs that I've just imported. Notice in the log window, and I have it configured to do split screen so that I can scroll around and look at various fields within each QSO. Notice that the EQSL sent field and the LOTW, Logbook of the World sent fields, are set to R, just as they are for some previous QSOs that I've either logged or imported but not yet uploaded, including the test QSO, the last one in the list, that I just logged through the capture window. R means requested. I'm requesting that they be included in the queue whenever I'm ready to upload them to EQSL or Logbook of the World, or both. I have DXKeeper configured to set these fields to R for records that I import, as well as for QSOs that are logged through the capture window. You can have DXKeeper automatically upload the QSOs to EQSL or Logbook of the World, or both, as you log each QSO. But I don't do this. One, because I don't want any test or dummy QSOs to be uploaded to EQSL or to Logbook of the World. And two, because I want the chance to review them for accuracy, correct the name, add comments, or whatever before I actually upload them. Notice the net name is present in some of the logs that I have imported here into the database. This makes it easier to search and print reports, to filter on the different QSOs and print reports for stations or states that I have worked in the old messnets. I have DXKeeper configured to import the particular ADIF field that's used by NetLogger for the net name, and then store it into one of 8 user definable ADIF fields within DXKeeper itself. Now I'll upload some QSOs to EQSL and to Logbook of the World. First, I need to delete this test QSO that I created earlier, because I don't want that to get uploaded. And I'll scroll back over so you can see the EQSL and Logbook of the World fields. I will go to the QSL tab and first pick EQSL and add requested. That's where the R comes in. It will add those requested records to the queue and then upload them to EQSL. And in another window that you can't see, it tells me that 14 QSOs were successfully uploaded to EQSL.cc. And there you go. And then I will sync up with EQSL and see if there are any QSLs out there waiting for me. And there were apparently 3. There's a little window that I get that tells me how many were processed and whether or not there were any errors. Then I'll do the same thing for Logbook of the World. Click the LOTW button, add requested. Yes, I do want to clear that filter and look at all records that may be available. Now all of those QSOs that I had requested to be uploaded to Logbook of the World are now in the queue. I will upload them now. You see that window was on a different screen, but it tells me that they were all signed and submitted and uploaded. And to wait a few minutes and then click the sync button to determine whether your QSOs have been accepted or not. So we'll pause the video, wait a few minutes, and then come back. We're back. While I'm waiting, while I'm giving Log of the World a few minutes to process the QSOs, I wanted to show you something else in the log here. I'm going to clear the filters and sort by UTC QSO date and time. You'll notice that the sequence numbers here in this column, they're listed in the order that the QSOs were entered or imported, not necessarily in order of QSO date. So those can be renumbered easily enough. And you'll also notice that the last sequence, there's no filter in place. The last sequence number, in this case 1559, does not match the total number of QSOs that are in the database, and that's because when you add a QSO and then delete it, it just moves on to the next sequence number. It doesn't reuse it. So let's go back to the QSL tab here. It's probably been long enough, and we'll sync with Logbook of the World and see if our QSOs have been accepted. And it has processed 19 of them with no errors. And now we'll sync again with Log of the World for the QSLs and see if there are any incoming for us that have been confirmed. And I processed 11 of them, and I have one new confirmation for St. Lucia. And lastly, I will export an ADIF file from DXKeeper that I can import into QRZ.com. So let's go back to the log window, clear all the filters that it may have put in place when processing EQSL or Logbook of the World, sort by QSO start time, make sure we're at the bottom of the list. You can also click the VCR type buttons here to go to the bottom of the log or to the top of the log or to anywhere in between. I know that the last QSO in my QRZ.com log was with KC8MM January the 7th of this year at 4:01 Zulu time. Here's that record here. That's the last one. It's the most recent QSO. The last one to be uploaded into QRZ. So what I will do is use a filter to search for QSOs in the log that have occurred since that time. And you'll see the very first one in the list is the one that's already in there with KC8MM. So what I'll do, and that occurred at 4:01 Zulu on January the 7th. So what I'll do is I'll change that from 4:01, I'll change the time from 4:01 to 4:02 and search it again. That'll exclude that one that I've already got. Now I have every QSO in the DXKeeper log that hasn't yet been uploaded to QRZ.com. And here we go to the Export tab, Export QSOs. I do not want to clear this filter. I want to use this filter because I don't want to export every QSO. I only want to export the most recent ones that haven't already been exported and imported into QRZ. So no, I don't want to remove that filter. It's going to be a standard ADIF export, and I will start the export. In this case, I want to export it into a file named QRZ and save it. Yes, I know the contents already exist, and I will clear the contents and reuse the file. And it is telling me that it's exported 14 records into the file named qrz.adi. And it is done. And at some point here, probably tonight, I will export that, I will import this file into QRZ.com through the web interface. And that's it, folks. That's how I log and import and export and upload QSOs using DXKeeper.